Hello. Happy Winning Wednesday. I'm chewing ice because I decided I was going to finish my iced coffee right before I hit live. Hello. Yeah, lots to talk about today. And there's a lot going on in April. So, it may be a little bit longer of a live today. And I'm actually really excited about this subject because not only is April like an awesome month because and if you got my emails, you know why. Essentially, April is not just another month for me. Like April's when a lot of things happened. April's the month where I married my husband. We just had our 18-year anniversary. We've been together for over 20, but 18 years ago is when we got married on the beach. Um, we were very young. We were like in our 20s. And so it's funny because my mom was like, nah, like do what you're gonna do. However, his family was like, are you sure? Like you want to do this young? Are you sure? And it's funny because how we did life. Um, we okay, well, funny. Let's just do a whole funny story for this. How I met him was because I was having a party to celebrate my ex moving out of my house. I lived in a duplex, and I had been with this guy who, we had broken up, and he would not move out from my house for another 6 months after we broke up. So I threw a party when he finally moved out. so the how I met my husband, um, I had two guy roommates because I don't know if you've ever heard me talk before, but I was a big tomboy growing up. I didn't trust a lot of females. Um, so I had two older brothers. I based life off of how they did things and, friendships of how they did things. So when I had girlfriends and they, did the whole backstabbing thing or steal your boyfriend or all that kind of stuff, like that didn't make sense to me. It didn't compute. So I was like, I'm just gonna go over here and I'm gonna hang out with the boys because they don't have the drama bullshit, right? so, um, anyways, I always felt like I got along better with boys. And so I, in turn, had two boy roommates at the time. So one of my roommates had a group of friends that he had invited over to my party, which the actual name of the party was Ding Dong, the Dick is Gone. So that's how I met my husband. Is like they brought him to the party. I thought he was cute. And so I started to hang out with my roommate's friends group because he was there. And then, that's how we got together. Anyways, long story short, you know, I married my husband 18 years ago on April 12th. So this past Sunday was our 18-year anniversary. And this month is also the month that, two of my favorite humans were born, which one of them is my husband. So on the 19th, this Sunday coming up, is my husband and my youngest daughter's birthday because on the same day, she decided she was going to come. And it's funny, um, you know, my husband had plans to go out with the boys the night before his birthday because my youngest, her due date wasn't for like a whole nother week. Um, However, I had this gut feeling that she was gonna not only come early, but she was gonna come on his birthday, and it's not really something I talked about to him about, but I knew like I had this like knowing in my body that she was gonna come and we call her the birthday stealer, that, she had other plans. So I didn't say anything again, like I just knew. So he went out, he gets home about 2 in the morning, and my contractions had started about 30 minutes after he went to sleep. So I obviously I let him sleep a little bit because, like he was out drinking, and by about 4:45, almost 5 o'clock, I was like, like these are getting kind of intense. Like we need to actually go in. So I woke him up. I got my oldest up and ready. I called the birthing center. We headed in probably around 6ish, maybe like a little bit before. And so when we got there, the whole plan was like I had it planned out. I was gonna, do the birthing tub. I was gonna have nitrous, and the nurse, like she was measuring me, and she's like, "Yeah, she's not gonna come anytime soon. Like you have time, blah blah blah." And so she went and stepped out. She didn't say where she was going, but she had stepped out to go to the bathroom or something. And so I'm laboring on the side of the bed, like just kind of bent over. And then I'm like, oh shit, something's coming out. And so my mom's there, my oldest daughter's there, like they're behind me. And like I pull down my pants because the freaking sack is starting to like bulge out. And my mom's like, oh my God, something is actually coming out. Go get the nurse. My husband's like running up and down the halls trying to find her, like full panic. And so she gets back in. There's no time to fill the tub. There's no time for the nitrous. My child arrived at 6:45, so like almost exactly 45 minutes after we got there. Completely on her own timeline, completely unbothered by, like the fact that we had other plans, or, that it was my husband's birthday, but, you know, that's just kind of how she is now. So I tell you the story, and the funny thing too is, and we're going to talk a little bit about astrologically, like what things are going on with the cosmos, but you know, they are both cuspers. So April 19th is the last day of the Aries zodiac sign. And so then the next sign would be April 20th, which is Taurus. So the funny thing about cuspers is that they hold characteristics of both signs at once. And so they may sway more over to one side versus the other side, but it's basically like fire and boldness of one, and then groundedness and sensuality of the other. So, honestly, it's like probably the most perfect description, like of both of them that I could ever give you. But I tell you the story because it is the picture perfect way thing that I want to talk about today. And so that this is basically to say that things that are meant for you, like they don't wait for perfect timing. They don't wait for you to feel ready. They don't wait for the conditions to be ideal. They're going to arrive on their own time, their own schedule. So your only job really is to be present enough to receive these things. So we're going to talk about the spiral of awakening, the spiral in and of itself as a symbol. So the spiral is probably one of the oldest symbols in human history. You can find it carved into ancient stones in like Ireland, in caves in Spain. It's in temples in Egypt, obviously. Thousands of years before anyone had words for what sacred geometry is, and it shows up, in nature, just in and of itself, like the nautilus shell and the, unfurling of a fern in the shape of galaxies in the double helix of your DNA. It's everywhere. And because this is actually, this is the language of growth in and of itself. Like, here's exactly what the spiral means. It's you can never go backwards. And yet it freaking feels like it sometimes, right? Like you can never truly repeat the same thing over again in the same context, in the same situation. Yeah, you circle back to familiar patterns and familiar territory, but you always are arriving at a higher elevation than the last time that you were there. You are not the same person that you were when you hit that same situation coming around again. Because, like think about like a spiral staircase. From above, it looks like you're just going in circles, right? Like, but if you actually look at a spiral staircase from the side, you can see that every loop is taking you higher. The view from the third revolution looks completely different than the view from the first. So even if you are standing in what feels like the same spot, doing the same thing over and over and over again, like this in and of itself, like you can't be. You like this is part of awakening. This is consciousness expanding. That is you. So I didn't go through like my own awakening journey until like a couple years ago. Like it was fairly recent. And I want to be honest with you because I think that like there's this idea that people who do this work have always been deeply spiritual. They've always been tapped in, always have one foot in the mystical world, and that wasn't me. I actually had a lot of religious trauma growing up as a kid. So I, for a long time, like even when I was getting signs and getting actually I talk about like shadow figures in my room uh, from a young age, like I rejected a lot of it up until like a certain age of my adulthood. Like I shut that part of me down because it was scary. It was like I was told things that I was going to go to hell, that I was a demon child. Like these are things that um, it scarred me in a way that I wasn't open at all to the outside possibilities. However, I dabbled in things. Like I dabbled in holistic things. I questioned social constructs. I knew from pretty much the time that I was starting to get into the workforce and getting my first job at 15 that I wasn't meant to work for other people. I was like, this is bullshit. Like, what is this? Somebody's telling me what to do all the time. Like, I don't like that. But, I had moments where something inside of me, like, that said that there was more to life than this. There was more to this than what we've all been told. And I did not actually, it didn't send me down the rabbit hole until I was sitting face to face with a mentor who made me basically question everything I thought I knew about myself, um, having to unlearn the things that I thought were truth about reality, about who I was and why I was here. So what followed was almost like the equivalent of an identity crisis. Like my husband generally thought I went off the deep end. And I understand why. Like he's known me as this person for so long, and then I'm questioning like everything. Because when you start to wake up, you start to see things differently. You start questioning the life you built. You start feeling things that you spent years not feeling because you've been stuffing down your emotions for so long. And the people closest to you, they don't have, they didn't go through the same programs. They didn't have the same knowledge as you. They don't have, like, they don't have the framework. And so they are watching this happen with basically no context. So for a while, I stepped back, and and then I would like have these little spurts of trying to push through and like testing the waters, and like and things started unraveling around me, and then you know it's kind of like being in the eye of a tornado. Like you are in the middle of a real transformation, not because something's going wrong, but because the old structure can't hold the new frequency. And so, in the middle of all of that unraveling, I got a very clear hit, and that it was basically saying that A, I needed to teach people breath, which I'm doing, and B, that I'm supposed to help others through this process. So, not long ago, I actually had a friend. We do some, we've been through some same programs and we became friends because of that. But we'll do like trades on each other. And so we'll meet up every now and again. It's basically like energy work and stuff. But she said something to me, actually, like a week or two ago. And she said that, she was talking to somebody else, and it's like, we have birth doulas, we have death doulas, but she really thinks that there should be someone like an awakening doula. And I had just told her that I was starting the everyday quantum. It's basically like it's a 5D consciousness course, where you bring all the 5D things, the um, activations and codes, and mix them into everyday life, our 3D life. So she was like, there should be awakening doulas, because she herself also went through an awakening kind of, you, like, you don't know what's real and what's not. It's just like you question everything. So, and you know what, like, I was like, that's an amazing idea, that's an amazing title, because awakening is its own kind of rebirth. Like, it's disorienting and it's beautiful and it's terrifying and sacred all at once. And most people go through it completely alone. Like, they have no map, they have no guide, no one to like bounce things off of and be like, am I crazy? Like, and no one to tell them that what they're experiencing is actually not a breakdown, but it's a breakthrough. So here's the other thing that is happening cosmically right now that totally supports this conversation that we're having even more, like, this makes it even more relevant. So we are sitting in the energy of Mars conjunct Neptune in Aries. And if you've been feeling like things have been foggy or emotionally raw or uncertain of your direction, or like you maybe you're questioning, like, why the F am I doing this? Or maybe even knowing exactly who you were, but somehow lost the thread by noon. Like, this is why. So Mars and Aries, we already know that this is the year of the fire horse, that things want to move, that this is like action, right? And so it's funny, I was talking to another friend last night, and we were talking about how we keep getting like these little hints of promises. Like, this year is supposed to be the year when things start moving, and it's going to happen this year, and we're thinking it's going to happen in January, and then we're like, oh no, the fire horse doesn't actually start until February. And then we get like these little nudges and pokes and like solar flares and all the things that just seems like we're being torn down, but it's because we rise from the ashes. And we'll get, oh, this is the week where things start to happen, and this is the week where you have massive abundance, and this is, whatever. But this is the week when it all has stripped away. This is supposed to be like the, hold on, I have to find the thing that talks about this, because I saved it here. Where is it? Oh, there it is. So I stole this from a girl I follow named Rebecca James. So the astrology between April 12th and 13th. So this whole week is like basically the final drop off of all the masks and everything. This is where like the old stuff kind of really strips away. So this week is actually one of the hardest weeks on us, because, we're shifting into something, and it feels a little uncertain because like there's a strange mix of emotion and sensitivity and lack of certainty, but it basically is saying like the energy's still there, but it's not direct, so it's kind of like interference. So this is where things can feel unclear or overwhelming or even slightly disorienting as Neptune dissolves definition and removes the usual sense of control or certainty around action. So it's not productive or structured energy. It's fluid, reactive, and hard to pin down. That's why emotions can surface more strongly and direction can feel temporarily lost. So as we move into later on this week, so we're now on the 15th today. On April 13th, the conjunction tightened and reached its peak. This is where the lack of clarity intensifies before it begins to pass. Mars is still trying to initiate movement, but Neptune continues to blur the outcome, creating a feeling of I need to move, but I don't know where or how. If that sounds familiar, guys. So now, like when this conjunction begins to separate, which is starting to do now, clarity is going to start to return. But right now, the energy is still in the phase of dissolving before it defines. So I thought that was kind of like interesting. I love the message behind that because I feel like I've been on a freaking roller coaster. So, you know, again, Mars and Aries, it wants to move, it wants to initiate, it wants to push forward, it wants to cut through with clarity and fire. But Neptune's kind of like dissolving this a little bit and blurring it a little bit. So again, interference. So it's taking the clean lines of Mars and it's turning it into like watercolors. So the energy right now, yeah, fluid, reactive, hard to pin down. So direction might feel temporarily lost. And I actually, real talk, I went through this yesterday. Yesterday and the day before. I was all like, I don't have as many people in my program as I wanted, and like I just want to freaking get people out there to help the world and the awakening and like supporting others, and like I feel all this stuff in my heart, but I'm like it's not working. Or it's so hard, or like I don't want to like I've in times like I'm bugging people if I ask them to come join my program, and like there's this strange internal pressure that's making everything more heightened than it actually is because of this energy right now. So what I want you to hear, and as it starts to return too, like you're going to get more momentum starting closer to the end of the week, but this is not malfunction. And this is like the dissolving before the defining. And yeah, Neptune, it's not destroying things, like it's actually purifying. It's removing what was never really solid to begin with. So that whatever is left behind is the real stuff. Like the fog is not the enemy, but it's actually part of your awakening. So it's part of the spiral. So because the truth behind the spiral of awakening that nobody really tells you when you first start down this path is that most of us were taught, consciously or not, that your growth is supposed to be this linear straight line, just like it's all up from here, right? Like you start here, you work hard, and you'll get here. And so you learn this lesson once and you move on. You heal the wound and it never comes back again, right? Like that's when you are told that, or you subconsciously are believing that, and then you're finding yourself circling back to the same fear, same pattern, same relationship dynamic over and over. You thought you dealt with it, and you think, like, what is wrong with me? Why am I the one that nothing works on? Like, why am I back here again? There is nothing wrong with you. Every freaking person goes through this, no matter if they're in the process of awakening or not. Like, you are on a spiral. That is life. Life is a spiral. So the second time that you're meeting that fear, Again, you're not the same person who met it the first time. Gosh, what is the saying? And I forget who this is from, but like there's a saying that about you can never walk in the same spot in a stream because you are not because it is not the same water or the same part of the stream, and you are not the same person. So like you you can have more tools, you could have more awareness, you can have learnings from the last time you went through the thing, you can have more capacity to hold it. Like the wound, it's not being reopened, it's actually resurfaced to a deeper layer because you were finally regulated enough to actually go there to experience it. And gosh, epiphany just now because I just heard that this morning. Oh my gosh. Um, so when you feel like you're going in circles, like again, you're not regressing, you're actually integrating at a higher, deeper level than you could have accessed the last time that you went through. So the piece that really makes all the difference and how quickly that integration happens is, and I talked about this in my email, but they're called safety signals. Like basically, your nervous system cannot awaken faster than it feels safe to. You cannot take more in until you have the capacity to receive it. Like most of us who are on this path have been running on high alert for so freaking long that our body is equating vigilance with survival. Logic can say that we are safe, but our nervous system still scans for the threat. And safety signals are basically all they are just small, consistent cues that teach your body what peace actually feels like. Like, not through these big, dramatic healing moments, like, in a breathwork session, but actually through tiny little repeatable things that you can do day to day that's like micro consistencies, like you know sitting in the same chair that you feel all warm and cozy in with your blanket on, sipping your cup of coffee, really actually smelling it, feeling the warmth in your hands. Like this is like a gentle return to yourself every single time that you do it, every single morning. Like through predictable repair, if you show your nervous system that after tension always comes reconnection, and like actually be aware of it and tell yourself this, oh yeah, you know, we may have had a fight, but we always reconnect. Like in the moment, it feels like the freaking world is crumbling. But once you start to give yourself evidence that it always turns around, you know, proof, then you start to recalibrate. You start to be able to have a larger capacity. You start to feel safe. So through pleasure, it's showing your body as proof that, again, sitting on the chair, the cozy chair with the blanket and the warm drink, or like maybe being out in sunlight or music and dancing, or maybe you take a nap, or you let your body learn that relaxation isn't dangerous, that we are allowed to take breaks, right? Through reparenting, like we're basically reparenting the younger parts of you and saying to them gently, we're safe now. Like we've handled surprises before. Conflict is not catastrophe. The mantra I want you to carry with you this week is that my body learned safety through repeated proof of peace. That's the spiral of awakening and practice. You're not taking giant leaps. They're just small, consistent, courageous proof over and over again that it is safe to keep going forward, going up. So, if you're feeling called to not just walk this path yourself, but to actually guide through others through this. Like, this is part of what I teach you, is how to hold the space for others. Um, to become your own awakening doula that this world so desperately needs right now. I want you to know that this is exactly what the Soul Shift Breathwork Facilitator Program is built for. And, again, April's always been a magical month for me in my world, like marriage, husband, daughter, who arrived on their own timelines, completely unbothered by anyone else's plans. But, as of right now, Soul Shift is like, we're doing our welcome call next Monday, the 20th. It's just one day after their birthday. And, I don't think that's coincidence. I think it's actually the spiral doing what it always does. But it's bringing everything back around to exactly the right moment at a higher elevation than before. So, this week only, because again, like, this needs to be out there. But this week only, I'm offering an additional $500 off. So if you use the code SOUL500 at checkout, and again, if you need a flexible payment plan, I have payment plans on there, but if you need more flexibility than what's on there, definitely we can absolutely talk about what works for you. And no one, again, I don't think that anyone that's called to this work should be held back by the price. So we are starting the welcome call on Monday the 20th. The actual official first day of the course starting is going to be Wednesday the 22nd, and then it's going to run every Wednesday live. It's recorded, so everything's in the portal. But, like, this is my baby. And of course, if you just can't make it work before the welcome call, I'm always welcoming open arms, because like, we kind of start off with like the basics. We're going to talk about the science and the neurology and all the things like on why the nervous system is probably the most crucial things for people to heal and work on in order to elevate their lives in the ways that they are looking. Because our society is very much programmed on our nervous system being dysregulated. So it's like, it does not matter who is out there, because every single person on this planet needs this. So, again, this week only, I'm offering the $500 off. If you need some more flexibility, talk to me. I'm not big and scary. I will talk it out. We can work something out that works for you. So, door is open. The fog will lift, especially later on this week. Spiral's moving you forward, even now, even when it doesn't feel like it, even when it feels like you're going backwards. And I just want you to know, you were never lost. You were always just becoming. All right, guys. So I will drop the sign up link in the chat and the coupon code so that you know what it is. And I really hope to see you. Again, I think this is big work that every single one of us deserves to do. And like, it doesn't have to be this big undertaking. You don't have to change the world, just you, one person, but we do need people to start. And that's how we change the world, with just one step. So have an amazing week. Love you all. Have a great rest of your April. Bye now.